Republicans are not happy with Maxine Waters after she had made what some consider to be some very controversial statements. In fact, House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy has announced that he would seek to censure Maxine Waters for what she said were, quote, dangerous comments inciting protesters to get more confrontational. In fact, she said this weekend in Minnesota, Maxine Waters broke the law by violating curfew and then incited violence, McCarthy said in a statement to Breitbart News. In fact, he said, an increased unrest has already led to violence against law enforcement, and her comments intentionally poured fuel on the fire. We've heard this type of violent rhetoric from Waters before, and the United States Congress was clearly and without reservation reprimand this behavior before more people get hurt. But a Speaker Pelosi is ignoring Waters' behavior. That's why I'm introducing a resolution to censure Representative Waters for these dangerous comments, and I hope for all my colleagues, both Republican and Democrat, will stand up for peace on America's streets. Whew. Okay. Let me just say this. No justice, no peace. All right? No justice, no peace. People should be out there. People should be out protesting. And while I don't agree with violence, I don't advocate for violence, it should be noted that the vast majority of protests in the wake of the George Floyd killing were peaceful, as opposed to what the police have been doing in the meantime with killing many more black men. And so here's the thing. So now what she's saying is so incredibly controversial, even among the left. Yeah, you've got a lot of disagreement on whether or not she should have come out and said these things. And so first I'm going to show you the video, and then I'm going to give you my opinion on it. Take a look.
We're looking for a guilty verdict, and we're looking to see if all the talk that took place and has been taking place after they saw what happened to George Floyd, if nothing does not happen, then we know that we've got to not only stay in the street, but we've got to fight for justice. But I am very hopeful, and I hope that we're going to get a verdict that says guilty, guilty, guilty. And if we don't, we cannot go away.
And not just manslaughter, right? I mean...
Oh, no, not manslaughter. No. This is guilty. Murder. I'm not going to say the first degree, but as far as I'm concerned, it's first degree.
Congresswoman, what happens if we do not get what you just told? What should the people, what should protesters on the street do?
I didn't hear you.
What happens?
What should protesters do?
Well, we've got to stay on the street, and we've got to get more active, we've got to get more confrontational, we've got to make sure that they know that we mean business.
All right, so they got to know that we mean business. We got to be confrontational. I should not find anything wrong with that, okay? So in context, what does confrontational mean? Or could it mean violence? Yeah, it's possible. Words are tricky like that. It turns out they can have multiple meanings depending on how you use them, depending on the context. In this context, I do believe that she meant confronting the injustice through protest, through more protest. Remember, this is in response to a black man being killed by a police officer. Okay? And not long after this, by the way, there were more. There was another officer that had killed a black man, Daunte Wright. And so it's not just, by the way, black men being brutalized by the police. It's also elderly white women with dementia or even children. And so what she's talking about in her context, I believe, is more protests, bigger protests, active protests, larger crowds, political action, holding people accountable. That's what I believe it is. And so now you might be wondering, well, how can I go and defend Maxine Waters when it seems like this could be interpreted as a call for violence, but then go after Donald Trump for incitement? Am I some sort of hypocrite? No, let me explain this. This is pretty simple. It's the context. It really depends on who you're speaking to. Who is Maxine Waters talking to? Who was Donald Trump talking to? And how could that be incitement? Well, they are talking to two different audiences. Donald Trump and the right-wing audience are more prone to violence. It's simple. I can prove that with facts. Okay? You can see that with the numbers. Far-right violence in this country is the most prevalent. The FBI has labeled the far-right the most dangerous and violent group in this country. You have groups like the Oath Keepers, which took part in the January 6th Capitol riot, which ended in the deaths of 5 people. You have the Proud Boys. You have the Sovereign Citizens who have killed police all over this country. You have others. A lot of these groups that are on the far right are more than happy to employ violence. The far right has also stockpiled lots of weapons, and the rhetoric for them is something that you can't ignore as well. A lot of it talks about how they can't wait to start a race war or secede from the country or use violence against left-wing politicians. And so that's the right wing. That's who Trump was talking to. That's who these conservatives are talking to. Now, that's the audience. But Maxine Waters' audience, that's different because these are people who live in neighborhoods that are right now being exploited and assaulted by police officers, that are still feeling the effects of Jim Crow, redlining, institutional racism. The only thing they want is for that to be gone and to stop being murdered in the streets by police officers. They also want to not be denied opportunities because of the color of their skin. These are not the same. There's no equivalence here. Okay, BLM did not invade the Capitol. Antifa did not invade the Capitol, even though that's what a lot of right-wingers are saying now. There's no evidence of Antifa. They weren't there. They weren't there waving Trump flags and saying, hang Mike Pence. Hang Mike Pence, sorry. And they didn't do that. No, it was Donald Trump's audience. That's the difference here. That's why the conflation by McCarthy is 100% garbage. What they want to do in going after Maxine Waters, okay, is they want to silence the uppity black woman, all right? Because they think that the system is fine the way it is, that it's working as intended, and that anyone who raises the issues needs to be censured, needs to be silenced, and that's it. And that's it. And it's ironic because the right wing loves to talk about free speech, but wants to shut up Maxine Waters and actually also wants to criminalize protest. And so it's complete and total hypocrisy from what is now the party of insurrection. If you enjoyed this video, please give us a like and share with your friends. You can subscribe and help out the channel by becoming a patron. It's patreon.com/Jeff Waldorf, or you can become a channel member as well by hitting the join button below.